Hi, my name is Kristen Seymour. I just graduated from Otterbein University in May with a degree in music education. I have just been hired in the Southwestern City School District to work at Franklin Woods Intermediate School teaching 5th and 6th general music.
Nice, that's great.
Thank
What made you want to go into that field?
At first, I didn't really know what I wanted to go into. I have always really liked music since I started playing flute and have enjoyed working with kids and working at camps and things like that. And then finally someone was like, well, why don't you try music education? And I was like, teach music? What? But I found that I have really enjoyed it and I absolutely love what I do. So.
When did you realize that? When did they say?
It was probably
Why
my
not?
junior year of high
Junior.
school. As I was starting to look at colleges and starting to see what I wanted to do after high school, I had no idea. I knew I didn't want to do what my parents did. My parents were both, oh, sorry, there's a bug. My parents were both business majors. My sister actually graduated from Otterbein as a business major.
Great.
I was like, that is not what I want to do. I do not want to sit behind a desk all day. And I had worked like vacation Bible school camps and things like that, and I absolutely loved working with kids. And so I thought about education. But I had never really thought about music education until then, and I knew I really loved playing my flute, and I loved working with anything that involved music. So then once I got into music education and started doing more as a music educator, then I found that I absolutely loved it.
That's great. What, with this being your first year teaching, what are you most excited and most nervous about?
I'm really excited to have my own classroom.
Yeah.
I know that sounds really nerdy, but I'm really excited to decorate my classroom and teach what I think is really important as a musician. There's so many avenues that we can teach in music, so I'm really excited to introduce the world of music to my students. And knowing that they're not all going to go into music, but know that they will be consumers of music and that they will listen to music their whole lives. So giving them a little basis with that, and I'm just so excited to start, forming that teacher-student relationship with my students and getting to know them and getting to know their families and all of that. So I'm really excited to do that.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm most nervous about is is just planning for a classroom. With student teaching, it gave me a really good idea of what to do, but then this is the first time that it's completely my own classroom, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what, there's so much to do. So I think the preparation part for me is what's making me very nervous.
Yeah. You said you were excited about decorating. Do you have a theme or?
I don't yet, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I start school in 3 weeks, and I don't even know what my classroom's going to look like. I haven't actually even seen my classroom. I got hired the Monday before I went and started working band camp, so I have not seen my classroom. I don't know the curriculum yet. I'm like, this is going to be great. But I'm so excited to start.
Yeah.
And I think I'm nervous about the first couple of days because that kind of sets the tone for the classroom. So.
Now you said it's 5th and 6th graders, right? Were you able to choose that grade, or were you just given?
Well, when I was applying, the tricky part about music education is we're licensed K through 12.
Okay.
And I'm licensed for band, choir, orchestra, general music. Basically, if it involves
amazing.
music and teaching, I am qualified to do it. So I have had the most experience as a band person. I started playing flute in the 5th grade. And so I've been in bands my whole life. So when I started applying, originally I was only looking for band positions, but I did know that I wanted to stay in Central Ohio. So with those two things, I was kind of really limited. But I applied for this position, and when I went to the interview, I really liked the school district. I liked the administration. So I was willing to kind of give up the idea of working with a band in lieu of a really good district and really good administration. So I don't know, maybe down the road a couple years I might try to go back to band, but I'm really excited to work with this age group.
Yeah.
They're a really fun group.
Definitely. Why the flute? And is there any other instruments that you can play? And
Again, with my licensure, I can technically play all of them. Well, not all of them, most of them. So I had to take woodwind methods, I had to take brass methods, I had to take percussion methods, string methods, piano, we had to take voice classes. Technically I have a base knowledge of just about every instrument. So I wouldn't really call myself proficient on many other instruments. I've just started playing the saxophone a lot more, and that's who I was actually working with at this camp that I just worked. I was working with saxophone, so that was really challenging. So I don't really call myself proficient on any of the other instruments, but I want to learn more about them. I'm always trying to learn more. Why the flute? That's kind of a funny story. Originally, I really wanted to play the saxophone. In the 5th grade, each school district does something a little different, but my school district does what's called an instrument fitting. And we got to pick our top 3 instruments that we wanted to play. They came into our music classroom, gave us a little presentation on all of the instruments. And so then we were supposed to choose our top 3. And my top was saxophone, and then second was clarinet. And I didn't know what to put for my 3rd. And I was talking with my mom about it, and she was like, well, I tried to play the flute when I was your age. I wasn't very good at it, but I tried. And so I was like, well, I'll try it. I want to see if I can play it.
Yeah.
So when we did our instrument fitting, we sat one-on-one with the band director, one of the band directors in the district. And they had us try playing all of the instruments to see, like, some students, sometimes it's a physical thing, like they're just way more developed for brass, or they're way more, apt for woodwinds or whatever. Or like clarinet, really tiny girls that have tiny little hands can't play clarinet because it's just physically you can't. Or maybe you just need to grow first, so like tiny kids that are like, I want to play tuba, you're like, maybe not yet. So I tried saxophone, and I actually couldn't get sound out of it at all. Like nothing happened. And then I tried clarinet, and I got like this really awkward squeaky sound, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not playing that. That does not, no. So then I tried flute, and it actually went really well, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I can like play this instrument. So yeah, that's kind of how I ended up with flute, and it ended up being a really good choice, and I absolutely love playing the flute.
And you said that you did solos and ensembles, right? So tell me more about that. Like, were you traveling with the ensembles, and like when was like your first solo performance and all that?
My first solo performance. In the state of Ohio, we have something that's called solo and ensemble competition.
Okay.
And so there's middle school and high school. In middle school, I don't think I played a solo. I think my first solo was my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
And so that was absolutely terrifying. And what it is you play for a judge, and the judge gives you comments, and they're like good feedback comments. I mean, they're not like, you're awful. They give you constructive criticism of like things you can do better, things that need improvement, things that they heard that were really, really great. And so you get a score sheet back from this judge, and it gives you comments. So that was my first solo experience, which was very nerve-wracking. And I guess it technically is my first ensemble experience as well, besides playing in like a full band. I played with a flute quartet. I think was my first experience that I had, so that was really fun. As far as traveling with ensembles, my high school band didn't really travel. Our marching band went to Disney World, which was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a really great experience. I was fortunate, and my band director did it every 3 years, so that you would always, no matter what, and go at some point during your career. And so I was the fortunate year that got to go twice. I went my freshman year, and then I went again my senior year, which was like amazing. The end of your senior year to be able to go was like so great, and to go with all your friends. But my first, I would consider my first real travel experience was here in college. The Wind Ensemble just about every year tries to go on some kind of tour. We didn't end up going my freshman year because they had like done a bigger tour the year before. So I've been to upstate New York was our first tour, and then we went to Seattle. It was probably the coolest place that I've gotten to go with an ensemble.
And like, did people from all over the country go to this? Was it like is it a competition, or is it?
With the Wind Ensemble, it was more of like a conference. It's called now I'm gonna forget what it was. It was like the Western. It had like the strangest name. It was like the Western Middle Conference or something. I don't know, but it was held in Seattle that year, and so like band directors from all around went. And so, like, it was high school band directors, collegiate band directors, professional band directors were all there. So that was a really fun experience to get to play. We didn't really go to the conference very much. Like, we had time to explore Seattle, but we didn't have passes to the conference. So the only time we were actually in the conference was when we were performing. But, yeah, that was a really fun experience.
Yeah, definitely. So going back to teaching now.
Yeah.
What are your future goals as a music teacher?
Oh my gosh, my future goals. I think all of my future goals kind of have to do with my students. If my students are interested in music or at least have a deeper appreciation for music, then I've done my job. I am already in a really, really great district, so I don't know that I really need to move around so much. I think I'd like to get back into teaching band, not just general music, but I guess we kind of have to see how it goes with this being my first year.
That's great. So, now I asked your favorite type of music to teach. You would say band, but we'll have to see how.
Yeah, but we'll have to see. Yeah, again, I think that one's a really, as I was reading that question, that really made me stop and think. I was like, wow, I don't know what my favorite. I think that I really do like teaching band because I like working with instruments, and I think it's a unique experience. Most kids develop an ability to sing pretty early on, and so choir is always something that they like to do, or at least like they like to sing in the car or in the shower, sing along to the radio, whatever. But band is such an interesting experience for them. They've never experienced something like that before, and for a lot of kids, it's their first chance to play an instrument. Like if they never played piano when they were younger, this is their first chance to really explore something like that. So I think it's really fun to do that. But yeah, as far as my favorite type of music to teach, I like to teach a little bit of everything just to give students a really good experience of what different types of music can look like and sound like.
That's great. So I know some school boards are thinking about taking music out of the curriculum.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. It's easy for me to be like, obviously, music should be there. But I really do think that students need opportunities to grow and need opportunities to explore what they like to do. I was very fortunate to student teach in Olentangy, and the Olentangy, this is a rocky chair. The Olentangy School District is a really big district, and so they have a lot of really cool opportunities for students. I mean, they have robotics clubs, they have music, they have theater, they have sports, they have all kinds of things for students to do. And I really think that that's important in developing the whole student and the whole child. You know, they're going to be consumers of music. There's music everywhere you go. And one of the coolest assignments I ever did in a freshman class, which Dr. Goodwin taught, this is funny, she's going to know what I'm talking about. You had to write down all of the music that you hear in a day. And so it's really interesting that, like, walking into stores, there's music. Walking across campus, there's the bell tower, you know, there's music just everywhere. So giving students the opportunity to engage with music in either in a classroom or as an after school activity, I think is so important because they're going to encounter it everywhere. So to have some kind of basic knowledge about music and to be able to have a conversation with another person about music, I think is so important. So I think that when school boards are making cuts, they really need to be careful about that, and they need to take into consideration that for some students, the science, technology, and math is not the direction that they need to go. Music is really, music and the arts, not necessarily just music, but the arts are another complete outlet. And even students who are really, really good at science and technology, that creative side is so important for them too, because it translates back and forth. So for them to be able to have as many opportunities as possible, I think is really important. So when school districts are making cuts, you know, obviously school buildings need to be in good condition and things like that. But, you know, to try to preserve the arts in any way.
It's everywhere, so.
Yeah.
That's great.
Exactly.
So last question. So I know with teaching, you have the wonderful summer break.
Yay!
Do you have any plans that you want to do during the break, such as like teaching. I know band, summer camp.
Yeah, summer band camps I always think are really fun. Some people really don't like them because it's hot and it's long. But I really like teaching it 'cause the kids are there and they want to be there. Marching band, some people think that it's just Friday night, but it's really not for the faint of heart. I mean, like, there's so much rehearsal that goes into what you see on a Friday night. So those kids really want to be there. And I know the Bexley kids that I worked with had so much fun over camp.
Yeah.
And they have, like, their band camp traditions, and they have a lot of fun with it. So hopefully I can still do that. I want to teach lessons, which would probably be year-round. Like, teaching flute lessons to students I think is really fun because, of course, I love the flute. And when kids come to me and they're excited about flute, then that's really exciting for me. So teaching, hopefully performing myself. Some teachers don't get the opportunity to perform, but hopefully I can do that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for letting me interview you, and I wish you the best of luck with teaching.
Thank you.